The question says find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of PQ. Now, before I start the question, it is important that I illustrate what a perpendicular bisector is. Basically, a perpendicular bisector just means a line which will cut off PQ, and when it cuts off PQ, it basically divides in half, therefore meaning it passes through the midpoint. While doing so, it will cut at 90 degrees. So this therefore means if I am looking for the equation of the perpendicular bisector, the first thing that I would do is to find the midpoint, because the midpoint is the point where our perpendicular bisector would pass. Now, from the given points, our midpoint is going to be the average of the 2 points. Average of x would be -3 plus 9 divided by 2. And then average of y would be 8 and -2. Hence I would say 8 plus -2 all divided by 2. -3 plus 9 is basically 6 over 2. And then 8 plus -2, these combine into a negative. So it's more or less 8 minus 2, which is also 6 over 2. Hence, our midpoint is 3,3. Now, in order to find the gradient of the perpendicular bisector, you basically need the gradient of PQ. Now, in order to get the gradient, you need to say change in y over change in x, which therefore means that the gradient of PQ is y2 minus -2, and then -3 minus 9, which basically gives us 10 over -12. Hence, our gradient is -5 over 6. By the way, this was asked in previous videos because this problem set is a continuation of an exam question. So the only reason why I'm doing it is so that the calculation can be in the same video. So now, since we know that the gradient of PQ is -5 over 6, if we are to find the gradient of our perpendicular bisector, we basically have to remember that the product of gradients which are for lines which are perpendicular is basically m1 times m2, all equal to -1. So this therefore means -5 over 6 times m2 is equals to -1. Now, to get m2, you are basically going to say -1 times 6 over -5. Basically, I am multiplying this side by 6 over 5, -5, so that these can cancel out. And then m2 will simply be negative cancels negative. So m2 is basically 6 over 5. Now, this means that I have the gradient which I need for the perpendicular bisector, and I also have the midpoint. Now, this allows me to recall the general expression for a straight line, and then remember that our line has a gradient of 6 over 5, and also passes through the midpoint, which is 3, 3. Now I'm simply going to substitute 3 here, and then our m is 6 over 5, and then 3 plus c, which therefore means 6 by 3 is 18 over 5 plus c. Taking this to the other side, it therefore means c is 3 minus 18 over 5. 3 minus 18 over 5 on the calculator is simply negative 3 over 5, which therefore means that the equation for the perpendicular bisector is y, our m is 6 over 5, 6 over 5x minus 3 over 5, which is our c.